you guys? Welcome back to Mondays on my channel, which as always are the only days on my channel unless they're Tuesdays, which that happens sometimes. Again, you might be noticing a little change of scenery back here. Everything got weird. I wanted to film in my bedroom, which you guys saw me do the last video that I posted, and then I didn't post a video last week. I'll get to that in a second. But it was just a little bit hard because of the window. It was just bringing in like too much sunlight and it just didn't really work. And on a whim the other day, I decided to move my desk out here, like not even thinking about filming, because I just wanted to have some workspace where I could edit, do homework, do like my DIY crafts, but I could still kind of be in my living room. I don't love hanging out in the bedroom. I like being throughout my whole apartment, so like I just kind of did this and it saved us a lot of space in the bedroom. That's why we're here now. Hopefully this is permanent, but you never know. Every time I say something, I change my mind. Just how I work. On Monday, which is the day that I would normally film my story times or my videos on my main channel, I found out that I had a huge test on Wednesday. So I panicked, I had to study, I had to devote my life to this test. So that's what I did. And I don't know how I did yet, because we haven't graded.
College, why?
So that is why I was absent last week. I also have a really big announcement for you guys, but I'm gonna save that for the end of the video because I kind of just want to get into the story time because it's pretty interesting. Swivel chair. Swivel, 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 swivel dance. So I've been living in an apartment probably for about 2 years, the end of this month. Overall, I would say I've had a really positive experience. I also just want to disclose, like, I'm not like trying to be mean to anybody. These are just interesting things that have happened in the course of my living here that I thought were funny. You know, all of my neighbors have been really nice. We've been really lucky to only have a couple little problems. The staff of our apartment has been really, really awesome. And like, if you're ever in Reno, I'd like recommend you come check these apartments out because they're really nice. The location's really good. They're not too pricey, you know, in comparison to other places. So I just really love it here. Want to disclose that. That being said, you live in an apartment for 2 years, you're gonna have some stories. And boy, do I have some for you. The first story is the tale of the Teardrop Tattoo Man. Now, my first encounter with Teardrop Tattoo Man was probably a couple of months into living here. Now, when I first lived here, I lived by myself. David and I both really agreed we just wanted to wait until we were married to live together. But that being said, Dave was over here all the time. He helped me out a lot with cleaning and doing stuff. And one day I had to do my laundry and he offered to come just join me while I did my laundry. So I go downstairs, which like the one thing about my apartment is like there is a laundry facility. You don't have a washer dryer in your apartment, which is like kind of bad. But at the same time, it's not a deal breaker for me. Like it could be worse. Like you could have a really bad apartment with a washer and dryer. I'd rather have a really good one without, you know? So we go downstairs, we load up the laundry, then we come back upstairs. And usually laundry here takes like 28 minutes, like 30 minutes. And we probably got back down within like 40 minutes. Like we were a little bit late to getting to it. Just probably got distracted or whatever. So we get down there and my laundry is no longer in the washing machine. Nope, it's just gone. And so we're like, where's our laundry? Well, this man was very tall, wearing a lot of dark, you know, dark sweatshirt, dark pants, and had a teardrop right here, which I'm not judging tattoos. I have a tattoo. I'm not against tattoos. I have a tattoo. I love tattoos. I want more tattoos. But Teardrop Tattoo Man, there was just something about him that just, you know, as a girl living on her own, I was a little bit uneasy. There was just something about him. Well, he turns to us and he says, I transferred your laundry because I got tired of waiting. But don't worry, I didn't touch anything important. And Dave and I are just like, thanks. And we go back upstairs and David is just like mad. He's like, I don't like some random guy touching my girlfriend's laundry. That's weird, that's inappropriate. And so I was like, okay, next time we'll just make sure we get down there like as soon as laundry's done and I'll, you know, I won't go alone for a little while, like we'll be fine. So for a while I didn't really see him except maybe in passing through the halls sometimes. But then he showed up again. So Teardrop Tattoo Man probably lived like on the 1st or 2nd floor. I live on the 3rd floor. And, you know, not that close to any of the neighbors. Like I don't really, you know, I had a neighbor that lived over here for a while that we talked to a little bit, but you know, we've just never like been super close with the neighbors. I've never asked to borrow anything. But if I were going to do that, I would have either gone next door or to the other neighbor we knew down the hall. I wouldn't have gone like throughout the apartment. Well, one day I'm in the kitchen cooking up some dinner or whatever, and Teardrop Tattoo Man knocks on my door. And I open it and I'm a little like worried because, you know, Teardrop Tattoo Man's a very large man. I'm home alone and he says, can I borrow some oil? And I'm like, what kind of oil? I have like olive oil. And he's like, yeah, I didn't have any, so I came up here to get it. Now he lived down on the first floor. It's, you know, like if you live in houses, you know, you don't go 2 streets over to borrow a cup of sugar. And I give it to him and I close the door and I never saw him again. My next crazy apartment living experience happened also when I first moved in. Now when I first moved in, they don't live here anymore, but there were some people that lived, so my apartment's kind of shaped like this. So I would live here, they would live here, it's like a corner. They lived over here, I lived here. Well, I still live here, but you know. And rather than, you know, going and sitting down to have a conversation, they like to talk from their balconies. One lived on the top floor and one lived on the bottom floor, and they would just yell to each other, having entire conversations from their balconies. I used to work 10-hour days. When I first started working here, I was so tired all the time. I was working 10-hour days. I was at a really stressful job, and I just like wanted to come home and take a nap. And these ladies would be conversing from their balconies about how much they hated living here. And I'm like, then go live somewhere else and be quiet. Oh, that was so frustrating. It was literally like this. Hey Gladys, did you get a load of the game? It was a really good game. Hey, how do you feel about living here? And finally, this was probably the most interesting story of them all, but I think these people still live across the hall, so I'm not gonna like shout too much, so just like listen, this is gonna be interesting. So one day I'm at home and I am in my kitchen, and you know, the walls between like the apartment and the hallway are pretty thin, but the walls like to the next apartment over, like you can't hear a lot this way, but you can hear everything in the halls. So all of a sudden I hear like a girl banging on the door and crying, and I'm like, what is going on? And she's just saying things like, you need to let me in, you need to let me in. And Scraps gets really, really upset and starts barking. So then I hear her saying, you're making a dog bark. I'm making a dog bark. You need to let me in. And so I open the door and I'm just like, hey, are you all right? And she's like, yeah. And this poor girl has tears in her eyes and I can just tell she's not okay. And I'm like, okay, do you need anything? And she says no. So I close the door. And this goes on again for like another hour. And at this point, I'm making this really, really good soup. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna try. She's been knocking on the door for like an hour. So I opened the door and I said, hey, do you want to come in and like have some soup and like calm down? And she said no. And I was like, are you sure it's really good? And she said no again. So I was like, okay. But like it was going on for so long that I was like, okay, I feel like just in case someone needs a witness, like I should just be listening. Like I wasn't on anybody's side. I didn't know the whole story. So it stops for a while, right? Like it's just quiet for a while. So I'm eating my soup, I'm sitting, I'm chilling. And all of a sudden you hear the banging again. And this time I hear, the lights in your car are on and your battery is gonna die if you don't come out. And I'm like, okay, this is getting like borderline like scary. So I'm listening and she's like turned the lights off to her boyfriend's car to get him to let her out. And you know, at this point I'm like, I really wanna help this girl out. You know, because one, like you can call anybody crazy, but I've been the crazy girlfriend before. I'm the crazy wife all the time, you know, like you can't judge her for that. You don't know what her day's like. Finally, it subsides. Like I actually considered like calling the cops, maybe like not on her, but just like come help the situation, but I don't know what would have happened. So I was like, I'll just leave it, it's fine. Well, later that night, you know, finally the yelling stopped. I think they worked whatever out. I hear gunshots outside. Gunshots, like, and a lot of people thought maybe they were fireworks, but like they didn't sound like fireworks to me. And I saw someone, not the person that did it, but I saw someone like running away, like scared. And so like they obviously heard it too. And I've just panicked and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope it wasn't the neighbors across the way. I hope not. And I started panicking and I was like, what should I do? What should I do? So finally I called 911 and I said, I heard gunshots. The police came. I don't think they found anybody, like whatever it was like happened and the person ran. And I did see the 2 neighbors the next day, so I know that they're okay, but that was like so intense, like that it happened the same night. I was like, I should have done something. I felt really guilty because like, what if it was them? Like, what if somebody just got pushed over the edge? This has been crazy. Okay, so a couple of months ago, I was getting into our car. I had David's guitar because we had a band rehearsal that night. And the wind was blowing really bad. Now here in Reno, it gets so windy. Sometimes I need to like stop. Is that bothering people? Hey. It gets so windy here, and I had a guitar in my hand. I had David's dinner because I take him his dinner on Thursday nights, and I'm like trying to get into the car. Well, the wind blows my door open and it slams into my neighbor's car, leaving the tiniest little dent, probably like that big, but like not colored or anything. It's just a dent. And so I start crying. I'm really, really, really upset, but I do what I'm supposed to, and I leave a note saying like, we'll pay for it if you want us to. Like, I'm so sorry, the wind just blew my door open. And she ended up talking to my husband and telling him, you know, I'm not mad, it's okay, but please be careful. Like, I love my car, I take good care of my car, but like, I'm not mad, I'm not gonna ask you guys to pay for it. And we thought that would be the end of it. Nope. So a couple of months later, David goes outside and she comes up to him and she says, there are new scratches on my car. And he's like, well, neither, like, my wife and I haven't hit it. And she shows him, and they're little like chips of paint, like not dents, not like damage, but just little chips of paint, like in the center of where the door opens, like that little crack that you would have. And like every car gets that from like rocks hitting it on the freeway or just wear and tear. Like every car gets that. And David's like, you know, there's just no way my car did that, but I'm really, really sorry that happened to you. And again, we thought it was the end of it. Nope. So even a couple more weeks later, I am parking my car, and our like parking spots are really, really, really narrow. So I was parking, and I kind of parked crooked, but like the majority of my car was in the other space. So not her space, but the other space next to me. And like I was planning on fixing it, but I saw her driving up. So I just wanted to let her get into her spot, you know, like that way I wasn't bothering her by backing up. So I stopped the car and I'm like sitting there waiting, like I wave her in, and she opens her window and she goes, you're parked really crooked. Can you fix it? And I just like, for some reason, got so livid because parking here is such a pain. Like it is so narrow. And I was like, I was gonna fix it. I was just letting you in. And so I straighten out my car as quickly as I can and I get out on the opposite side of the car because I just don't want to deal with this. Like she's already accused us of stuff before that we didn't do. And I was just like frustrated. And she's always like looking at her car too. She's always like checking her car. Always. Like if I'm looking out there right now, she's probably like looking at her car. It's crazy. She's obsessed with it. And so I just leave. I don't say another thing and that's fine. About a week later, we get a knock on our door at 9:40 at night. And Dave and I are old people. Like we go to bed fairly early for people our age. Like generally we're in bed like 11. And so this is like, you know, kind of late at night for us. We're sitting at the table. I was working on editing and he was working on something and we were talking. And we get a knock at the door. So David opens the door and it's her.
Are you having trouble parking? Because I found 3 new spots on my car and one of them wasn't there like until you got here.
No, and like he had just like driven the car and parked it and didn't hit her. Like he would have told me if he hit her. Like even if he wasn't gonna tell her, he would tell me. Like he did not hit her. Not that he would lie about it, but like, you know, I'm just like, he wouldn't do it and not tell me. So like there's no way that he hit this car. And so he tells her like, hey, we did not hit your car, we didn't touch your car. And she goes,
well, what about your wife?
And I'm just like standing, like she doesn't know I'm there, but I'm just like standing on the other side of the door, like where she can't see me. And I'm just like, like 98% of the time, if somebody tells you they didn't do something, and if they're honest in the first place, like that's what's so frustrating about it, is when something did happen, we offered to take care of it and do the right thing. I think that was what was so frustrating for me, was like we were honest about it in the first place. And since then we haven't been parking in our space, just to kind of prove a point. And that way, like, you know, it can show her like it's not us. And like what the marks looked like on her car was like a suitcase smudged her car, because like they were easily like wiped away, like they were gone the next day. And there was just no way like a truck could do that without causing more damage. So that's been the craziness of apartment living. Overall, it's been a really, really great experience, and I recommend trying it to anybody out there. It's interesting, and as long as you're in a safe and good environment, like nothing bad's gonna happen, but you're always gonna have interesting stories. Right, I did promise that I had a really big announcement, and I'm really, really excited to share this with you. So my family and I, meaning me, David, and Scraps, have started a vlogging channel. And basically it's just little bits of our day-to-day lives as we go. It's been a lot of fun to film. I didn't get to do a ton last week because, like I said, I was having a lot of technical difficulties. We'll be filming tomorrow, so something will be up by Wednesday. So please check out our new vlogging channel. It's called Classy Bird Vlogs. There's already quite a few vlogs up there. And if you like Scraps, if you like my dog, you will love this because he's probably like the center of everything. And it's not just boring like me following around a dog, but just different things we do day to day. It's just a lot easier to film him in that aspect because he loves to do his own thing. He's Scraps. He likes to do his own thing. Book of the week this week, I'll insert it right here, is called Breathless, and it's by Lorraine McDaniel, the same author as the book Heart to Heart. This book was really, really good. I love her stories because they hit a lot of really like tough subjects where you wouldn't know quite how to feel about things. All right, you guys, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to stay classy, and I'll see you later. Bye!